If the bride runs away from the groom right before she says, I do, and before you get to sing Ave Maria, do you still get paid for the gig? If the gig is 50 miles away or an hour extra with traffic or 20 miles or 120 miles away, do you get a mileage fee? And what if you are hired to DJ a party at the beach, but then there's a storm warning and the birthday girl decides actually she doesn't need a DJ anymore for what has essentially become a slumber party at her house? Do you still get paid? Hi, I'm Fiona Flyte, and it is my passion and my privilege to help performing artists with money and personal power. Because as far as I'm concerned in all of these situations, yes, you should be getting paid. But a lot of the times we don't know how to make that happen. And the one thing that you absolutely need in order to up the chances that you don't get last minute cancellations of your gigs, or when you do, that you still get paid, you still especially get a deposit, is a contract. And so that's what this video is going to be about. It's going to be about your contracts. But there's one thing that we need to get very clear before we have any conversation about contracts at all. And this has to do with who holds the power. Because contracts are a lot about negotiation. And if you feel like you have no power, then there's a good chance that the contract is not going to be in your favor, or there won't be a contract at all. So who does hold the power when it comes to negotiating a contract with a wedding coordinator, with a bride and groom, with a venue, with an event planner? Who is it that holds the power? Now, I know that for a lot of performing artists, you just kind of fundamentally think that they hold the power because you have bought into the idea that you're replaceable. You've bought into the idea that they could just hire somebody else. You've bought into the idea that if you ask for more, if you ask for a per diem, if you ask for mileage, if you say the deposit is non-refundable, they can say no, and that your choice is then to take it or leave it yourself. So you don't have in you this sense of like deep personal power that they're the ones that can take it or leave it. It's, oh gosh, I need the gig, I want the gig, so okay, if they don't want to do it, I guess we'll make the deposit refundable, or we won't have a deposit at all. Okay, sure. But this is what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be the case. Now, yes, we want power to be mutual, right? We want to have a mutually collegial relationship with our clients, but we definitely do not want to believe that they have all the power. Now, I want to show you a situation where you actually have the majority of the power. And this is where the power of social media adds to the conversation around power in general. I want you to imagine for a second that there is a husband out there. Okay, and this husband knows that his wife is absolutely obsessed with your music. And how does he know? Because he sees her scrolling your feed all the time. And he hears your music because she's like, oh my gosh, I love this song. Let me play this song for you. And then he gets to hear the song. And then you do some kind of behind the scenes talking about what a song means. And then she goes to her husband and says, you got to listen to this, because did you know that she created this song in her shower when she was crying over her ex-boyfriend? And this was right before she fell in love with a man that she's now married to and who's in the band with her. And oh my gosh, it just like, it melts my heart, and it makes me think of us. So now the husband knows as much about you and your band as the wife who's obsessed with you does. All right. So now it is the wife's birthday coming up. It's like her whatever would be like that perfect age and the perfect birthday celebration to match with whatever genre you are. So if you're like an oldies band, then maybe it's like her 55th birthday. Or you're like a new and up and coming band, maybe it's her 27th birthday, like whatever it is, okay? It's her birthday, and her husband is like, gosh, this is a really special day. It's our first birthday together, or it's our 5th wedding anniversary, or it's her 55th birthday, or whatever. Like, this is a special day, and I really want her to understand that I get her and that I love her so much. And I got very creative, and I thought of the best possible birthday present. That best possible birthday present is you. It's hiring you and your band to come play for her party. Are you seeing now how the balance of power is completely different than what you usually think it is? Because in this case, the husband is like, what does it cost? You want a per diem or you want mileage? Of course you get mileage. We're a little bit out of your town, like maybe you're local but not that local. We'll put you up at the bed and breakfast in our city or in our town. We'll pay for that too. Like I want you at this party so much that like what do you charge? How can we make this happen? The deposit is non-refundable, no problem. There's no way we're canceling. Do you see how this balance of power is just completely different? And suddenly it's like, yeah, I own that we're awesome. And of course there are people that want to hire us. Or if you are a soloist, like you do weddings, for example, it's like, yeah, I'm amazing. And they can take or leave what I require to have it be worth my while to show up for the gig. And some of that is a deposit and some of that is mileage or whatever else. My next YouTube video after this is going to get very specific on exactly what goes into the contract. This video is really about standing in our power around contracts in general. In order to have a contract that we can actually stand behind, that we can actually enforce, we've got to do this kind of inner work, this kind of identity work to make that happen. So when it comes to negotiating your contracts, a lot of it is internal and energetic. And so what I'm really wanting for you is that you start to understand that whether you have a large social media following or not, you do have something extraordinary to bring to any event. You're not replaceable. Let me say that again. You are not replaceable. But you have to believe that first before anyone else is going to believe it. They will believe that you're replaceable until you know that you're not replaceable. And if they do decide to replace you, they haven't replaced you. They've just hired somebody else. These are very different things. Do you hear me? So we don't want to approach any kind of negotiation around your contract with any kind of neediness. We need to stand in our power with this sense of, I'm going to walk away if what I'm asking for isn't respected. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't negotiate. That doesn't mean that you can't be flexible. Let's say you're a string quartet and they're saying, we just really don't want you to take longer than a 10-minute break. And normally your breaks are 15 minutes. Okay, not a problem. You can be flexible if it feels good to you, but you don't have to be flexible. It's up to you. You also want to have a great deal of clarity around what does and doesn't work for you before you ever present your contract to somebody who might be hiring you. And so what I'm also very much wanting you to understand is that there's inner work to do before you ever present your contract to someone. So now I have a little bit of homework for you. And the first one is, do you have a contract? Like, let's really ask ourselves, like, do you have a contract? Is it a good contract? Do you stand behind your contract? How much have you thought about your contract? Is it more like a handshake, or you're just doing it over the phone or over email and you're just showing up and hoping it's happening? Like, gosh, I've done that and that does not feel good. Imagine the difference between you're emailing with someone, maybe they found you on social media or they found you through your website, or they call you and they're like, we want you to come perform at our gig. And you're like, great. Okay, when's the date? This is the date. Okay, this is how much I charge. And they say, great. And they say, here's the address. And now you're like going and hoping that it's actually happening at the address that you got and that you're going to get paid. Whereas if you say, okay, that all sounds good, I will now send you my contract. Now we're in a whole different situation because they've got to sign the contract, get it back to you, pay a deposit. This is one of the things we'll talk about in the next video. Once a deposit has been paid, there's a much higher likelihood that the gig is going to go the way you want it to go and that you will in fact get paid because you've already been partially paid. So you know there are people that pay. Do you get what I'm saying? And then you can also think about how you can differentiate yourself to make yourself irreplaceable. Because what if it's a situation where it's an ongoing gig? Maybe you've got a restaurant gig, or maybe you're building a relationship with an event coordinator in your area, or a wedding planner who's very popular and does a lot of weddings. Then we want to have relationship and we want to build those relationships. So it's not just about, here's my contract, I believe in myself, and sign it. It can also be, how do you onboard your clients? What's your process for bringing them into your world that makes them feel special? how do you over deliver in ways that leave you not exhausted? So how do you give without over giving? Because we don't want to see these gigs as one-off situations. We want to actually build relationships that can lead to referrals and repeat offers. I mean, going back to that husband and wife, what if that one gig that you do is so extraordinary that the husband's like, wow, I got so much value from this. Both like, I loved the performance, and my wife was like, that was the best present ever. And now they bring you back for every special occasion. Now you're the band for every anniversary party. And then their friends hear about you and hear you. And now you're the talk of the whole neighborhood. What can you do to make your clients really feel special? Isn't that interesting? So I started this by saying, understand that you're not replaceable. And from that position of power, from that position of certainty and knowing that you are special, suddenly we can be very open-hearted with the people that hire us, but from a position of power, not from a position of neediness. So I'd love for you to contemplate these things for now. And if you'd like me to go deeper, come on over to the free Facebook group, check out the deepening calls I've already done there. Also comment here with any of your questions or things that you'd like me to expand on, either in comments or in the next video. Because these things that I'm talking about on my YouTube channel, they really do have the power to transform your business as an artist, to turn you from independent contractor into seriously successful artistpreneur. And that's what I want for you. Okay, so if you are interested in exactly what specifically should go into your gigging contracts, then definitely subscribe to the channel and come back next week for my next video. And if you're interested in contracts in general, maybe you also are a music teacher or an acting coach and you want to tighten up your lesson policy or your studio contract, then I also recommend that you join my free Facebook group, because I did a number of deepening calls there on contracts, both for music lessons, for lessons in general, and also for the contracts for your gigs. So you'll find that link in the description below. Follow me on Instagram, on Facebook. Let's stay connected. Let me know what other topics you might like me to cover. And if what I'm talking about here resonates with you and you're finding it useful, then share it with one of your artist colleagues who you think might also benefit. And now, as always, go out into the world and shine your light. You have a voice, you deserve to be heard, and the world deserves to hear you.